Hello, friends. So this is our long-awaited conversation that I've called Macro Matters. And the idea that we want to do here is to present various topics within the world of macrobiotics and have a conversation about what these topics entail, what's easy for us, what's hard for us, what are our questions. So we have 4 different topics that we've prepared. And then we have a summation of what the different ideas are that Lois Feinerman has volunteered to present to us, and a conversation as we go through it. So my topic that I've chosen to present, I'll go first, is trying to understand what is macrobiotics. So if you're familiar with a conversation about who is a Jew, it's kind of a similar lahavdil thing about what is a macrobiotic person or what is macrobiotics. And I remember going to a conference many years ago where they tackled just that question. It was DAFCA, a conference in Portugal that Chico ran. And the definition that we came up with in order to understand what is macrobiotics was this: with a love for life, our education in the act of living empowers individual and planetary health. Now, that was the definition for macrobiotics, which is a little bit strange because it doesn't speak a lot about macrobiotics and doesn't mention food at all. Anyway, I just bring that in to start because I thought it was very interesting that an entire plenum of, I don't know how many, 50 people or whatever, spent 3 days coming up with this sentence. When I think of the goal of macrobiotics, I come up with this question. And before I continue, I'll just mention that each of us will have about 10 minutes to speak. So just give me the hook if I run beyond that. So the goal of macrobiotics, if you or I were to be asked, what is the meaning of my life? What's the sense of my life? How would I answer? What is the top passion in my life or my direction? And knowing this makes it much easier to eat a healthy diet because I'm eating then for my purpose rather than just to maintain life or heal. If I have an illness, of course, and that becomes priority, I need to do that. Macrobiotics is much more than that. And Michael just now gave such a beautiful talk about the 51%. The main aspect in my understanding of macrobiotics is letting us live the life that we want to live. So I ask then, what is your dream? What do you want to do in this lifetime? And Gretchen was just very kindly asking about what can she give? And that is the question, because we live our purpose by giving back. It's the spirit of gratitude that Osawa called 1 grain, 10,000 grains, to give, give, give. So this is what Michael Rossoff calls, just now he said, macrobiotics is an evolution of consciousness. And that's such a beautiful understanding of macrobiotics. It's so much more than just the 49% of the food. There's or was a macrobiotic teacher named Herman Ihara, and this year is the 100th anniversary of his life. And so there is a lot of conversation about Herman Ihara. So I'd like to quote what he said about macrobiotics. He says, you have to find meaning. You have to find meaning. Happiness or unhappiness is your responsibility. If you have cancer, you have to find the meaning in cancer. If you are a millionaire, you have to find meaning in being a millionaire. Otherwise, you are unhappy. You have to find the meaning of life, of your condition. For each one of us, the meaning is different. Each one of us has to find the meaning in our life. Why so much effort to be first when first eventually becomes last? Why not transcend both? Lasting happiness is found not in trying to be perfect, but in the art of being one's natural self, which is perfection. So thinking about these topics then led me to my next question: is health the goal, or what is the goal of macrobiotics? Herman, again, his wry idea was that if we become too healthy, it means that we also develop an overly powerful, healthy appetite for life and for all of the exuberant choices it offers, including unhealthy food. So it becomes very interesting. Once we reach the zenith of health, we forget how we achieved it, and thus our huge appetite takes over and draws us back to consuming everything, including foods that may well return us to sickness. So Ihara suggests that once one finds balance, not perfect balance, of course, but somewhere just below this, so that we then can maintain a core appetite for macrobiotic foods without becoming too restricted or narrow or inflexible in our thinking and our diet. So conscious moderation is more sustainable and leads to more balanced health and happiness. It's easy, I think, to put blinders on and to fast altogether than to eat a balanced diet and be more broad and looking left and right. So what's the difference, we can ask then, between macrobiotics and vegan or vegetarian life? So for that, I need to ask, everyone's saying here, oh, I eat well. Oh, I eat good. I eat well. What does that mean? What does it even mean, I eat well? So food and health are certainly in public consciousness and yet poorly understood. The difference with macrobiotics is that, as we've learned all day today, we use yin and yang as principles to guide our lives, especially when applied to cooking. So nature becomes our model, not strict or rigid, as I just said, but rather orderly, cyclical, we could say, and patterned. We eat what's appropriate in a natural order. Denny Waxman, one of our favorite teachers who spoke at a previous forum, said current vegan recommendations advise avoiding all added salt, sugar, and oil. And Michael just spoke about this too. In addition, nightshades and other acidifying vegetables are highly recommended in vegan or vegetarian diets. Smoothies are often used to replace meals altogether. It's my concern, he said, that this may not be a healthy direction for a sustained practice. All of the world's long-standing civilizations were plant-based. Their mainstays were grains, beans, vegetables, the three that Michael just mentioned. They also used salt and oil in food preparation, and this includes people from the blue zones of the longest lived peoples of the earth. It seems it's safer and healthier to base our general recommendations on what has already worked for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years. So the excessive use of salt and oil is unhealthy, especially poor quality, and not using them is also not supportive. A softer approach would be a minimal use of natural sea salt and high quality sesame oil particularly. High quality sea salt makes food tasty and satisfying and aids in digestion of carbohydrates, which is what gives us strength for life and absorption in the small intestine. Oil, when used in cooking, aids in the absorption of minerals and fat-soluble vitamins, the A, D, E, and K, and adds to the taste and enjoyment of food. So current vegan recommendations seem to be an overreaction, perhaps, to a meat and dairy-based diet, kind of a swing of the pendulum. A strong plant-based macrobiotic diet is the best to keep bones and us healthy and strong. So maybe I'll finish my remarks by just asking, what do we give up by practicing macrobiotics? Everything has a front and a back. So as I said, macrobiotics does not mean living the perfect life and never experiencing difficulty or illness. Michael just mentioned this as well. Rather, macrobiotics is passing in and out of balance, taking the bumps. We didn't contract for a perfect life. We intended to observe and to choose, following our inner guidance. And that's what macrobiotics does, is to improve our intuition. Macrobiotics teaches change. We get into trouble, we see it, and we adapt using yin and yang. Macrobiotics offers practical life guidance based on common sense. It amounts, and this is Herman Ihara once more, macrobiotics amounts to finding our physiological limitations and trying to live within them. This is the cultivation of humility. When we think we can do anything we want, we become arrogant. This arrogance is sickness. When we are living within our physical limitations, then we are spiritually free. Macrobiotics seeks freedom in spirit. Freedom exists in our spirit, so we can think anything. Biologically, physiologically, we are not free. We can wish to eat anything we want. We can't do that. Disciplining physical unfreedom is the foundation of spiritual freedom. God didn't give us unlimited biological freedom. Appreciating and taking into consideration our unfree physical condition leads us to both physical and spiritual freedom. So that's what I have to present on what is macrobiotics, or how we understand it. Here I am. So do we have any conversation about that? Or we can go on to our next presentation. Let's see if there's any chat.
There was somebody from the Holocaust, I can't remember, he talked about meaning is what makes life. So it isn't restricted, just, yes, Viktor Frankl. So it's not a purely macrobiotic idea. I mean, it's everywhere, spiritual, religion.
Of course. Yeah.
Well,
and, go ahead.
Could I just have to say something that I've never heard anybody else say. But one of the things that, like the main thing that attracted me to macrobiotics before
Who is speaking, may I ask?
Ruth Hirsch.
Oh, Ruth, okay.
Right. Yeah, Jerusalem. So one of the things is that everybody I knew who practiced macrobiotics looked alive, like vibrant, really vibrant. Their consciousness was sharp, and that was what attracted me. And I will say that this is what has kept me. I started this diet January 1st, 2020, and this is what has kept me on it the whole time. I mean, I have lost a tremendous amount of weight, which I didn't expect to lose, and I don't know that I needed to, but I guess maybe I did for balance. But I feel my mind is clearer, and I feel much more vital. I'm alive, so that's what I wanted. So that's because, so I think if you go back to that description that you had before, that didn't seem to speak about food.
Right.
Maybe it does in a way capture. I'd love to see it written down, but that is what keeps me doing this, because it's inconvenient, it takes time.
Yes.
But my diet is incredibly simple. I'm single, so I don't do all the fancy stuff. My diet is very simple.
Anna, did you want to say?
Yeah, I really wanted to participate because I was trying to listen in on the definition, and I wanted to share with you. I actually shared the link in the chat. So a group of teachers, as you said, like with Francisco, that came up with that definition, but it's something that has been worked on. And in Berlin in 2017, more than 45 teachers from countries, institutes and organizations agreed on a definition. And we also in 2018 made a slight adjustment. Macrobiotics, a system of holistic principles and dynamic practices that guides choices in nutrition, activity, and lifestyle for a physical, emotional, mental, social, and environmental health. So we spoke of this. This was very profound. This was this was initiated with a group of people, including Danny Waxman and another wonderful author that I've just I can't remember just yet, but I will. But anyway, we spoke of this in Berlin. We spoke of this in 2018 when we connected together. And this is a group of people that have traveled the world to meet. And many of the times it has been in Europe because most people are European that come to these conferences. But this has been absolutely wonderful to share. And we're doing our best to change Wikipedia, for instance, that has a terrible definition, both in English, Spanish, French, Italian. So this is a movement that has to be contagious, grown, and so I'm sitting in here and I'm very much enjoying this get together and getting to begin to know you all. But I think this is a wonderful not beginning, but a wonderful continuation, because macrobiotics is so much more than just food, and I think you expressed that beautifully. However, I really wanted to share with you this definition that has been worked on by many people. Please take a look at the site. This is an opportunity since 2013, I believe, or 14, that we've managed to come together, people, practitioners, people that are writing articles, to share. And please share with your friends. This is a growing effort, of course, very imperfect, but wonderful opportunity. And if you want to know, we're doing a conference at the end of October.
That's right.
And if you don't get the newsletter, please at the bottom enroll. I'm not selling, I don't earn any money by this. This is not the case. This is just a question of sharing information that hopefully will engage and will enrich in our lives. And please participate if you wish to do so. So that's just my 2 cents, just showing some awareness on another part of the world, I guess.
You'd like to speak? Okay, hold on just a minute. Let me find you, Sheldon. Thank you, Anna.
Can I say something?
Sheldon, just ask, and then whoever that is can speak next.
It's me.
Wait a minute,
Susan.
wait. Let me just go ahead.
So first of all, what I want to say, Ruth, what you said about what attracted you to macrobiotics is exactly.
I'm sorry, Sheldon, to stop you.
Man.
Sheldon.
You stay muted. Are you muted? Stay
No,
muted. So stay muted because there's too much reverb.
Okay.
Stay muted. Okay, go ahead now.
Okay.
Yes.
So what attracts? No, now I get an echo. I can't.
No,
talk,
I hear you well. Go ahead.
But I can't.
We can hear you both.
We hear you well.
Come over to Ginat's computer and then share, so it won't be confusing to you.
You can stay where you are because my mic picks you up. You can stay there.
Okay. So, Ruth, what attracted you to macrobiotics is exactly the experience I had. The first time I came to a macrobiotic dinner, it was it's when I was living in the US, and I absolutely just couldn't believe the energy of the people who were there. It wasn't just the food. I've always been a big, a good eater, but so not only did the food attract me, but I just felt like, wow. The next morning, I came into the kitchen and I told my wife, out of here. And that's how I started macrobiotics. And then after a short while, I got a diagnosis. I got a diagnosis that I had cancer. And then I became very strict. And the strictness led me to learning how to chew like you wouldn't believe. And I would have at every meal, I would have 3 little bowls of food. And I would sit and I would chew each bite at least 100 times. And the strictness in my mind at that time, I thought I was doing the ultimate. guess what happened? After, I don't know, it must have been a year and a half of doing that. I went for a final CAT scan, and whatever growth I had was gone. I returned to Israel, and I lived in Jerusalem. And guess what? I discovered the natural bakery. And it turned out the cells of my body had this memory of what life was like. And it decided that I needed balance all in one time. And I would go to this natural bakery and I would buy a bread, and I'm not exaggerating, I would buy a whole bread. It was gone by the time I got home. It was, I just couldn't get enough. I couldn't, and cookies and bread, and oh my God, it was just, it was like my body saying, you know, how much can I handle? You know, I just gotta, I need to I have to go a little bit nuts. And my weight, and by the way, and I weighed about 99, well, no, a little bit more. I weighed about 105 pounds for quite a long time. I was stick and bone, just skin and bones. And boy, the weight came back in a big hurry. So the lesson and the reason I'm telling the story is macrobiotics is great, but everything is balanced. In other words, you need to find some kind of balanced way of doing it, because if you don't, you're going to, a tsunami is going to hit when you don't know it, and that's exactly what happened. So that's one story that I had, one experience I had. The second experience I had is recent. It's recent. After about 30 years of eating brown rice, it reached a point where I said, Yalla, you know, my body started to reject me. And I felt just a need to make changes. And I find this, you know, rather than being concerned about it, I just let it go. I just said, my body is telling me something. Just listen to it. Let it guide you. You'll find a new balance. You'll find what's good for you. And I wanted to make that point also. Things change in the course of time, and you need to go, you kind of just need to go along with it and just listen to what your body is telling you. So anyway, that's
Well done.
Thank you so much for
that's my
sharing that.
stories.
Thank you. Thank
That's really helpful to me to hear. And look at him. He's the picture of health
you.
and youth.
I'd like to give one more quote here that Carl Ferre, he's the head of the GOMF, the Georgia Sauer Macrobiotic Foundation, he once asked Herman I. Hara, what would we do if everyone became macrobiotic? Herman I. Hara responds, we would teach the opposite. Then he continued, there's always an opposite. Our job is to show the opposite and then teach how to unify them, make them one. So that's such a refreshing look at what macrobiotics is. So I really enjoyed that, that little quote there. Did we have more conversation, or shall we go on to the next topic?
Go on.
Next topic is Kezia, leading a discussion on seasonal cooking. So Kezia, let me There you go. Unpin video. Oh, there we got to Sheldon. Where is Kezia? There she is. Hi, Kezia. Welcome. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
You
Thanks
want to introduce yourself a bit, or?
Sure. Yeah. Can everybody hear me? Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. Hi, my name is Kezia Snyder. Even though it says a different name on my little tag there, I'm using my boyfriend's computer right now as my daughter's using mine. So anyway, I'm in New Jersey at the moment, and generally based in New York City. And I've been macrobiotic for a really long time, and I just find it an incredible discovery, an incredible opening, constant opening, and as everyone has probably said already today, changing. Everything is always changing. The seasons are changing, our lives are changing, our evolution as people spiritually we're changing so many ways. So I wanted to talk about, as here we're experiencing the change of the seasons from summer into autumn. We just passed the autumn equinox. I'm not really sure about what you guys are doing in Israel, but I'd be happy to hear about it. So I'll just speak from what I know now and my particular orientation. I've been a macrobiotic cook for many, many years, and the four main things when it comes to transitioning seasons are the four principles of using heat or fire, time, pressure, and salt. So those four things can all be adjusted as we here in the North America area are moving into the colder season. And so we're going to be using more of those four things, generally speaking, to adjust our bodies to the colder weather that we're experiencing here. So that means using more heat in the foods and more foods that use more cooking time, say like the hard winter squashes and root vegetables. Time, cooking them for longer periods of time in the way of making like nishime or vegetable stews. Pressure, that is in using a pressure cooker more often, or also using pressure in terms of making more pickled foods and putting pressure on, like when you make sauerkraut or other pickles. And salt, a bit more salty seasoning to strengthen us to be strong against the cold weather. So I'm interested to hear from all of you about how being in a totally different climate area is affecting your ways of cooking and thinking about what you're cooking, and I'd like to hear about that. So also the other important thing as far as seasonal cooking is to support your local farmers markets, and what they have there will show you and guide you as to what nature is producing now for us in whatever season, whatever climate zone you're in. So I strongly urge you to support your local farmers and buy their vegetables if you don't have your own garden, which is probably the most ideal. But if you can take a look and see what those foods are available now, what's coming into season, that can really help us to make those transitions. The other things, as far as the macrobiotic approach to changing season, is, of course, besides food, there's exercise, and the amount of daylight that's available now is changing here. And so it's important to feed ourselves those things as well and be aware of those. Also, and probably people have talked about chewing, but I'll just mention that it's so important, what Sheldon just mentioned, but it's so important for your health and digestion. So if you all just take your fingers and put them on sides of your temples, just on the top, and go make chewing motions like la, 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 you can feel that your brain is actually being massaged. As you chew, your body is giving you a brain massage as well as breaking down the food and making it so easy for your whole body to have healthy digestion and working in that very whole way. So always good chewing. It's so important for every time you eat. And hopefully eating in a peaceful fashion, in a calm fashion, and relaxing so you can really help your digestion. So what else? What else can we say?
Do you want some feedback?
Sure.
Sophie? I have a memory with you, such a strong memory. We went out to a restaurant, and I have trouble choosing because, I want everything. But I decided my factor would be something that I would never make for myself. And you looked at me and you said, in this heat, that's what you're going to eat? That stuck with me. That stuck with me really strong.
I hope
And
you
the
did.
second thing is, pardon?
I hope you didn't feel
I'm sorry.
criticized. I hope you didn't feel I was.
Don't worry about it. No, it's a learning experience. It's a wonderful learning experience. Yeah. The other thing is, because of issues with the corona, my husband has decided we're self-isolating. So I have been getting deliveries, and I've been ordering from a farmer that I used to go to every week. And lately he didn't have one item on the list that I could choose from, but he also gave boxes that he would deliver to people, the CSA, the small box and the big box. And I saw in the box, they had the item that I wanted and wasn't available to me. So I wrote and asked what's going on. And exactly because farmers are dependent on the weather, he said, because of the heat, we have very little. So we're, just not giving out that much. So we did go through a heat wave, incredibly, but now I always think the weather is such a boring thing to talk about, but it's been cooler at night and there's been a little wind, but it's still warm here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Sorry?
are you transitioning into a summer?
No. Fall will come, but it seems to come slower sometimes. And usually during Sukkot, we will have strange weather where one day will be beautiful and the next day will be cold. So yes, we will be transitioning not too far away.
We've had this similar thing here too. Yeah. That it's been really chilly and then warming up a little bit. It's just sort of that back and forth wave.
Yeah.
The seasons bring, I think. Well, thanks, Clara. That's so sweet that you remember that.
Oh, it was a strong memory, very strong.
Kezia, how far in advance do you start transitioning to the next season?
Well, I've heard it said that we're eating for sort of like 3 months ahead. So I just keep that vaguely in mind. It's one of the factors that can to think about when we're cooking, so that even in summer, 3 months ahead is fall, and in fall, 3 months ahead is like winter. So those thinking, like this summer, I tried to be, also because of Corona and all those, different factors, I was pretty careful, I was really pretty careful not to eat too much super cold things or, things that would be sort of making that balance a little wider, like I might otherwise do in hot weather, because we had some few brutal days here, really brutally hot. But I tried not to swing too far on the pendulum, so again, keeping that and just going more towards those nishime, those longer cooked things, and the sweeter squashes and more hearty type of cooking. I just automatically be sort of craving them now too. So it's listening to the body, as Sheldon was saying, through all those changes. That's our main sort of guide as to how much salt, how much sweet, how much, what kind of things, along the principles, that we have in mind.
I remember a class one time with Misho where he said, he sent someone over and he said, open the window, and the person opened the window. And Misho said, how did you know how much to open? Did you open this much? Did you open that much? He said, it's the same thing with knowing how much salt to put in or how much it's this sense of it. You're not going to write down, I don't know, whatever, but it's reminds me what you're saying right now of that idea of knowing what we need or how much of something.
And I think it's also becoming more sensitive to our environment. So both internal environment and external environment as to how we make those adjustments. And really, I think, like Sheldon was talking about also, like not overeating can really help our sensitivity increase. Our physical sensitivity, our spiritual sensitivity, all those levels, we become sharper and more clear, I think, that way. So chewing also plays that big part in not overeating. So, and sometimes food is so delicious. All right, we'll have a little bit more. That's okay too,
Yeah.
Can you say something about eating for stress, under all the stress that we're under lately in the United States? Have you adjusted your eating at all for that?
Yes, definitely, but not so much consciously, but I'm glad to have that question. I think it's a good one. We do need to take all those factors into consideration. And one way or another, our body tells us. It's interesting because how can I explain? Let's see. Let me think. How can I? That if a friend is cooking for me and he's had a beer, say, automatically he will make things a little more salty in his cooking just to make balance. And it's totally not even conscious, but just intuitively our body is responding. So I feel your question about stress also intuitively we are responding. And that people have been talking about the COVID-15, that people are gaining more weight during the COVID time and so forth, because we are looking to counterbalance. Automatically our systems are tuning in, picking up whatever news or from friends or from our own understanding of where we are in this conundrum of COVID now. We're automatically responding. So I think maybe we're tending maybe to eat a little bit more or tend to have more appetite for sweeter things, or, all those things are playing a part. And we can also, as you said, address it in a conscious way and say, okay, well, today maybe I need to have a little more dessert, or I'll make a bigger amount of dessert to have it for the next couple of days or every other day, whatever,
Well, I noticed that I never eat popcorn, but when I went to watch the debate, like I made myself a big bowl of popcorn and ate all of it. Now that's not something I would normally choose or even eat at night. Like I never eat after 7 o'clock, but that night I just felt like I needed it. Like, what can you do when that comes over you?
Yeah, well, I think I understand totally. And it is a little bit like movie, like we're watching a movie and we need some sort of like comfort food because we're in the midst of this like huge sort of tornado of ideas and political change and social change and so forth. So I would say, and I'm so glad that you try not to eat late, because that can be really a big problem for digestion. For myself, when I occasionally do it, I find the next day is like a little thrown off. But I would say if you need something for that time, the best would be maybe something lighter than popcorn, but like a cup of hot tea with a little bit of rice syrup or a little bit of apple juice in there, something soothing, but maybe digestion doesn't have to work so hard late at night, that goes down a little bit easier, or maybe a sweet kuzu, something like that.
I think the popcorn was like, I was already sort of angry. So that just like fed into it. You're right. I should have had something with like a more mellow bent to it. That would have been more calming. Almost everyone I know is not sleeping. I am, but all my friends who aren't macrobiotic, they're all waking up all night and no sleep and so forth. And I think that's attributable to eating at night, you know, because they haven't stopped eating by 11 o'clock at night. So that's a really great thing I've gotten from macrobiotics.
Yeah. Well, there's, again, no right or wrong. And your body was probably looking for those carbohydrates to just kind of chill you out in the middle of watching that chaos there. But
Right.
you know,
Thank you.
different choice. See how that works for you, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to try that next time.
Let us know how it works. Anybody else have something in mind to share or think about or bring
Well,
forward?
let's segue over to Paula. What's your name, Paula? To talk about why bother to cook. Like, what about raw food? Paula Palucha. Paula, wait, is she still with us? Yeah, Paula.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. Wait, I have to find you.
Thank
And
you.
help me with your name. I'm not so good at saying your name.
Paula Perdigão.
Yeah, that one.
Palucha for friends.
Palucha.
Hi, everyone. I would like to start with a question to everybody. Who doesn't like to cook? Please, Gina, help me.
So people could say more or less. I'm looking at you.
Please tell me.
Okay, someone is not talking. Come on, I'm watching you. I see you. I think you have a couple candidates here.
Okay.
I don't like to cook. Usually I do like to, but sometimes I do not.
Okay. Thank you. So that's my main subject for me today is that why we should cook. Because some people can go to a macrobiotic restaurant and eat, or they have someone that can cook for them. And I would like to share my experience with you that for me, it's very important to cook. I love to spend some days without cooking. When I travel, it's nice. But then I run to my kitchen to cook. To cook for me, it's very important. And especially it's important when we cook to ourselves, okay? And it's more important, or as important as when we cook for the family. The cooker of the family has a great responsibility because, as we know, we talk all day about that. Okay, some people say that it's not 100% important, the food. There are other subjects, other points that are important. But if you are the cooker of the family, you are responsible for the main health of the family. Okay, in spite there are other points, but it's very important what we cook to our family and how we do it. Okay, and I would like to share that I found for me when I found that was very important, especially for women. It's very important to cook. Why? Do you know why? Because of the heat of the stove. The heat of the stove heats and strains our uterus. Women, they need to be hot, and men, they need to be fresh to get vitalized. And women, they have more tendency to cook, and they do some delicate cooking and some delicate steps. And these steps that you can use on cooking, on decoration, on style of cutting the food, the way you cook, can help you to develop your intuition and helps you to rescue our feminine power. What I'm going to say, maybe some people will won't agree, and maybe they can say that I'm chauvinist, but it's not that. What I found is in our society, in our actual society, many women, they work like men, and this is not healthy for us. I don't know if you know the doctor Christian Northrup. It's an American doctor. This lady, she's fantastic, and their work is with women. And the main thing that she says about herself, that she found that she was working like a man, and because of that, she got very sick. Okay, so for me, cooking, it's an instrument to recover my feminine, my feminine side. So cooking, it's an investment to in the quality of our life and our happiness. It can be a lot of fun. It depends the way you face things. If you think, oh, I have to do dinner, the food, maybe it's not going to be so nice food, and after dinner, maybe you don't feel so well. But if you cook with joy, and you can invite a friend, you can invite a family, you can cook together, or you can prepare people that work during all the week, because one thing that people say, I work all day, I can't cook macrobiotic food because it's very complicated, it takes too much time. You can organize yourself during the weekend, okay? So for me, cooking, it's a meditation. It's self-love, and it's the way I do love to the family, to the other people. For me, it's a way to do Reiki, okay? For me, to take care of a person, when I put the hand to make Reiki, for me, it doesn't make sense for me to do it. I don't feel to do it. I do it cooking. So cooking for me, it's also a meditation, but not in a religious way of thinking, of being, no. I'm cooking, but I can listen to music. When I'm very stressed, I put some music meditation, very relaxed. Or I put some music like samba to get happy. As Anna told, that she felt well when she went somewhere that the cooker was hungry on the phone. So we have to make, it's very important, the vibration, that when we cook, we know that. So taking time to prepare my meal, for me, it's not a wasting of time, it's an investment. I invest minimum 2 hours a day cooking for myself. But I'm simple. My lunch, it's my dinner. And sometimes it can be for more 2 or 3 meals, especially the cereal, the rice. I'm crazy about brown rice. And many times I do a big pan of brown rice, and the other day I do risotto, and the other day I do another thing. So for me to cook, it's a lot of fun. And also, if we cook it, if we know how to organize, and I think macrobiotic people are very good on that, we are taking care of our environment, right? And what about your own environment? Your own ecology? Because mainly people say, I take care about ecology. When I buy a Coke, I save the pen, I save, and I put on the recycling, so I'm ecological. And what the effect that the Coke does in your body? It's pollution. So when you cook for yourself, you organize your life and you save the environment. So what if I hate to cook? Please, don't hate to cook. It's to take care of yourself. If you love yourself, you should learn and make an effort to like to cook. But I'm going to tell you my story. I was raised with my mother saying that she didn't like to cook. My mother, she has a very severe education. She wanted to study and my grandparents didn't let her. She should stay at home, taking care of the children. She shouldn't study more. So for her to cook, it was to be free. Okay. And when I start Macrobiotic, I felt like that. No, I don't need to cook. I don't like to cook. So I stayed home waiting my boyfriend arrived to make the lunch. But some desserts, I like to do sweet things. Some I would like to. But the destiny led me to be a kitchen apprentice to learn. So I went to a macrobiotic restaurant to learn how to cook. And the lady was very special the way she cooked. And she was so delicate with so many details, so many decorations and the way of cutting and everything that I fall in love with that. So I passed from hate to cooking to get crazy about cooking. Another thing that I discovered that I was repeating my grandmother because my mother, she didn't like to cook, but my grandmother loved to cook. And I remember when I was a child, I'd like to make biscuits with my grandmother. So inside of me, I love to cook. Maybe inside of you, you like to cook. And what another thing that I found that for me to love to cook, it was the first step for me to recover my feminine power. Because my feminine power was castrated inside me of the education, and my mother doesn't let me have long hair. I only have boy hair. I even have a t-shirt. I'm a boy. So I have to fight about that. And the other thing that helped me a lot to recover my feminine power, it was belly dance. It changed all my way of movement, the way of dressing, and you know, belly dance, it's very good for our health too. So, if you don't know how to cook, you can say, so I don't like to cook because I don't know how to cook. It's simple. Take cooking classes. You can now, you can do it online with me, with Anna, with the other lady that spoke before me. So don't disappoint. So if you don't appreciate to cook, what you can do cooking classes. Then you can start to think the importance of eating well. Because if you go every day to a macrobiotic restaurant, it's not the same thing. Because they cook to a lot of people. It's different that you cook for yourself. the most the restaurant can be very good, and the people that they can be fantastic people working there, but it's different, and they cook for everybody, not for yourself, for your needs. So, and you can, as I said before, you can organize yourself, you can call a friend. And what more? What about raw? Gina challenged me to talk about raw. I don't like raw. In summer, okay. In summer, or if I eat fish, when I go to restaurant, I can eat some salad and I can eat some fruit. But normally, I don't like raw. Raw, it's cold. And in the opposite of some people say, there are people that eat raw. They say that raw food has more energy and cooked destroys the vitamins and so on. I don't agree in the sense that the fire gets energy. As the lady said before me, pressure cook is good in winter. The oven, it's good in winter. So we need the fire and makes the food more digestive. So when I see people, you know, veganism, it's fashion now. Okay, they want to protect animals. Okay, I understand. But they eat garbage. Sorry to say, some people, they are crazy. I have a friend that she is green. Her skin, it's a mix of yellow and green. And the other day she arrived to my house and she said, "Oh, sorry, do you mind if I go to your kitchen? I didn't have lunch yet and I brought something." And she ate 5 bananas. 5 bananas. It's crazy. It's crazy. I couldn't say anything because she studied macrobiotic before and she didn't feel well with it. Recently, I knew some people, they say that, "No, I tried macrobiotic. I don't like, I prefer raw, or I don't like they eat too much cereals. It's too much a medium." They don't feel well. I don't understand that because in my way of thinking, for me, when I saw macrobiotic, I said, "Wow, it's that. That's what I want. I understand that." And for me, it's I respect people, but it's confusing when the person doesn't accept macrobiotic. I have to respect. What can I say? So raw, especially for summer, or if you eat a fish or meat in case. So cook with your heart and cook with joy. And just finalizing, I would like to remember you that we have 5 mouths. We don't have only one mouth. We have 5 mouths related with our 5 sense of organs, right? So we have the result of the vision. We eat with our eyes. If I see too much aggressivity, it's a wrong food. If I see love, it's a good food for me. Or if I read a very interesting book, it's good for me. No? If I hear a lot of pollution of bad words, it's bad food for me. If I smell pollution, it's bad for me. So if I touch bad things, it's not good for me, right? So please, love how to cook. To cook, it's very good. And have cooking classes or share with us. Why? I have a challenge, Janet. We could do a group on Facebook or on WhatsApp, and we could share ideas. We could share cooking recipes. Why not?
Well, I think that's a wonderful idea. And you are segueing so beautifully into our next and final presentation, which is how we can support each other. So you gave a wonderful presentation. Also, Kezia, I didn't get a chance to thank you. It was well thought out and well presented. So I'd like to ask to speak now about supporting each other, to ask Clara to speak. So Clara, I think you're muted.
Sorry. I got too nervous. So I've been thinking about support for a long time, way back when there were, I guess, Yahoo groups or something. There were macrobiotic groups, and there were a lot of people who wrote in and said, I'm all alone, and there's no one around me who's macro. So back in the 90s, I thought it's very important to have groups together. So with the help of other people who are better with the computer, I created a group. It's called Macro Lovers of Jerusalem. And like all groups, it's international. People from abroad came. But what happened in a group is there are some people who are daring, and they will write and share. And there are other people who say, oh, I don't have time, or they're too embarrassed to get up in front and write anything. So that didn't work. So then a few years later, I started doing once a month support groups where we would get together for a potluck and have someone talk. And that was kind of nice, but we constantly had different people who appeared. And then this evolved into a support group where we had every week a potluck. But the problem with this is it wasn't focused. We got together, and that was nice, and we shared food, and that was nice, but there was no focus to these groups. Years and years later, I have one little problem with macrobiotics. It has a lot of good philosophy, but it's not very specific because, of course, you have to figure out for yourself what you need. That's the important part. So I never figured out how to stop eating because I love to eat. So I would eat a lot and realized that quantity is not good. Quantity ruins quality. I knew that in my head, but that didn't help me. So years later, I discovered there are two programs for weight loss. One was from America, I discovered first, called Sovea. And the next one was Bright Line Eating. They both have the same principle. They limited the amount of food you ate. You weighed how much you would eat. There was no flour, and no sugar allowed. But Sovea did not give the opportunity for support. You paid and you got all the lessons, and you could buy the cookbook if you want, and that was it. Bright Line Eating has so much support, so wonderful support, which is what people love. And they had a lot of Facebook groups, and the leader, Susan, Sarah, help me. Susan, I can't think of her name suddenly. Sarah, are you there? Sarah, you're there. Susan, what's her last name? Anyway, she would do a lot of,
Thompson.
yes.
Pierce Thompson.
Right, Pierce Thompson. Thank you, Arlene. So Susan would do a lot of vlogs. Every week on Wednesday, she has a vlog on a different topic that somebody would write in and ask. And she had a lot of classes, which cost money, but they were amazing classes for weeks on end. And then she had a lot of Facebook groups. But one thing she had, which I think surpasses it all, it's called Mastermind Groups. Ginat, can you put in the chats the link that I gave you? Ginat?
Yes, give me just a minute and I'll do that.
If you Google it, you could also find it. And it's a wonderful description. And Mastermind Groups is not for anything particular. It's just like macrobiotics. It has principles, but you create the details. And so what happens is the principles are you get together with other people, committed people on a regular basis. The people who are in the group decide how long they want to talk, what they want the agenda to be, and how they're going to do it. And Susan, I meant to have the book in front of me. Oh, I forgot the book. So Susan has in her book the agenda that she gives out, which I think is brilliant. It starts out with each person saying how they feel. each person shares how they feel. Then the next thing is they talk about their week, and they talk about what's beautiful is it's not a group that just complains, and it's not a group that just schwitzes about how wonderful they are. It's a group that is honest with what has been going on in their lives, and they share it with the other people in order to get support. One of the main things is no judgment. And what is support? It goes back to my first question, what is support? So unfortunately, often what happens with support is people want to help, and they want to give you ideas, and they want to tell you what to do, which is okay if the person says, yes, give me feedback. I want your feedback. But the best kind of support is when people listen and you yourself are thinking out loud in front of people who accept you totally, and your thinking changes because you're allowed to think, and you're allowed to come up with new ideas in your own brain, in your own way. And sometimes, like Macrobiotics, sometimes it's this way, you get advice from others, and sometimes it's the other way. You come up with your true needs of what you need to do for your own life. So in Bright Line Eating, the purpose of these mastermind groups, of course, is we get together because we all want to lose weight and we want to maintain it. And with Bright Line Eating, Sarah, you could jump in anytime, is that we do more than just, like Macrobiotics, we do more than just food. We talk about how to grow inside, how to reach higher levels of life and deeper meaning of life. And so I joined a group. So I want to, like every front has a back. So I did join a group, and it didn't fit all the ideals. Something was wrong, and I couldn't tell why. And eventually the group dissolved because one person had work and she couldn't join the group anymore, and the other person wouldn't say why she couldn't join. There were only 4 of us in Bright Line Eating. 4 is the nice number. And it dissolved, and I was glad because it wasn't giving me what I needed, I thought. Then I joined another group, and this other group was not following the program. It was doing a lot of chit-chatting, which was not focused and which was not helping. And then one person also had to leave the group, and then a new person came, and one person could change the whole mixture of what goes on, the whole energy. And then we started to follow the program a little bit better, and we got more focused, and now it felt more productive. We were doing things. Part of our meeting is, I told you, at first we'd say how we feel, then we say how the week was. Sarah, help me here. Are you in a mastermind group, Sarah? No. Oh, they can't help me. It's in her book. The next thing is we talk about our challenges. And because it's ongoing, we know what Arlene, you could help me. You're good at this.
Yeah, it's the win. You say how
what
you're.
our wins, right? Our wins. And we know what our challenges are. So we choose a commitment that we will work on our challenges. And the following week, we start with saying how our commitment was. And so it's ongoing. You get to know the people on a deeper level. It's not like the potlucks. Well, right now we're not sharing foods, but we're sharing our lives, and we're sharing our goals, and we're sharing our problems and our troubles, and it's just enriching. It's just really nice. So, did I miss anything? Hold on. There. Did you put so? At the beginning of this link that is wonderful and explains how it started with this guy who wrote, what did he write? Growing Richer or something? I forgot the book. But it was for businesses
It's
to get
Napoleon
together.
Hill. It's Think and Grow
Right.
Rich. Yeah.
Right. Think and Grow Rich. And it was businesses who got together to better their business and get better business ideas. But it's for anything at all. If you're if you're religious and you don't feel you're really getting the religion, then you join a group to talk about religion. If you're in our group, Macrobiotics, we started with Macrobiotics, but three of us are interested in gardening. We talk about gardening every now and then. We're just, whatever the interest is, but it's for people that you feel comfortable with, you trust, you could be honest with, and you grow with. And that's the most important thing. I wanted to start by saying how wonderful these talks are, but what happens when everybody goes home to their own life and they don't have this push from the talks that inspire us? I mean, you could go to the videos and rewatch the videos, but it's really good to have a push from the same people every week. Okay. Any comments? Arlene? Let's see if I said anything else. Once Jean, who came here to teach us from Belgium, said we need to be mirrors to each other because we don't always see ourselves objectively, and other people could see things that we can't. We don't have to accept it. I've been told things that I thought, that doesn't feel right. I don't know. I would think about it. I thought, no, that's not right. But people could be mirrors because they could see sometimes things in us that we're not ready to see. Like that. Okay. Okay. We need acceptance, non-judgment, opportunity to discover an atmosphere of trust. I said that. Support comes when the people who are getting together, they're not just getting together just to talk about the weather, which we do a lot. They're getting together because something is important in their lives, and they want to grow in that area. Okay. I think I said everything I wanted to say. Oh, and there was, I think Susan, the leader of this Bright Line Eating, had said that some of the mastermind groups that she's been in went on for years. I mean, years. People really grew together, which is beautiful. I think it's beautiful.
So Clara, these things could be online, these groups?
Right now they're online, yes. Right now. Oh, they are online. I guess before too. I guess you could meet in person. I think in this link that's on the chat, he does talk about people, like the business people get together and discuss. But the groups I'm in are online now. I guess you could do it either way. You make your own rules as you go. You know, you could
So
get
I
together.
wonder if you and Paula, the speaker just before you, might want to kind of throw around ideas of how you could co-sponsor, co-promote, produce, do
Why not?
this. Yeah.
Why not, Clara? I ask friendship on your Facebook, Clara.
Oh, Facebook is wonderful. I mean, I'm on it a lot, too much maybe. The difference between Facebook and this ongoing meeting with us, it's 3 other people. Wait a minute, Arlene wrote something. I want to read what she wrote. Arlene, can you just say it? Or, what did she say?
Arlene, can you say? You have to unmute.
I did.
Oh, yes.
I said that I'm in the group with Clara, and so there were 3 of us besides Clara, and we all had no idea what we were getting into, and we couldn't imagine how the call would be even an hour long, and Clara wanted it an hour and a half, and we just had absolutely no idea. But now at this point, we all look forward to the call.
Yeah.
And so what do you speak about in the call?
We go through what our goal was. We always say what our goal is for the next week. So we talk about the goal, we talk about our win for the week, we talk about our challenges, and then we feed off the others. So one person's having a problem and somebody else will say something, somebody else, you know what I'm saying? It's feedback in a different way of looking at things. It's really actually quite interesting.
So is it food related? Excuse me, I'm just curious.
It could be. It could be whatever you decide it to be. You and the other people in the group the business people may not talk about food, but macro people will talk about food.
We're all macro. All 4 of us are macro, so it makes it easier.
In that link that he said, he talked about how the synergy of the people is bigger than just, if you just like have an exchange with one other person, it's not quite the same as when you have 4 people. It does build, it gets bigger. Yeah.
Very good.
So in Facebook, you
Can I
don't have a
say-
consistent,
Can I say something?
sure, Sarah.
I just wanted to say that I think it would be really interesting if Susan Thompson came to our Zoom and gave an hour lecture. She's very interesting, her whole philosophy.
She's wonderful, but she's super busy. I'd be shocked if she came here.
There you go.
I'd be super shocked.
Would be-
But people could write to her and find her on Facebook. It's Bright Line
Okay.
Eating Official, and people could ask questions. There's a lot. She's amazing. She has so much energy, and she's so honest, and she's so humble, and she's an amazing leader. She's really good. Yeah.
Sarah, oh, hold on. I would love to see you follow up on that possibility. I mean,
No, I don't see any reason why I can't try. I can do anything if I want to.
Oh, good for you.
Oh, yes, I can, guys. If I want to do it, it happens. You know that.
yeah.
But you have to tell me if you said you had one slide open. You have to tell me when it is.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great to have her. Yeah.
So when is the slide?
The reason I'm hesitating, sorry, having technical issues.
It's a dog. They could just talk to each other, maybe connect to each other. I don't know.
The only reason I'm hesitating, Sarah, is because I'm building this platform as a conversation about macrobiotics. And I'm slightly hesitant to bring in other things.
Yes.
We did one in the middle of last month on the 15th. And it was like a separate entity.
But if she talks only about how important support is, then she doesn't have to talk about the food part of things. I'm disappointed in some of the posts that a lot of people who come to this Bright Line Eating are very, very obese and very, very ill. And so this program that she puts them on, she's even had a blog about it. She says, I know people have said it's not focused on health, but it is healthy when you lose 100, 200 pounds. You know, that's huge. So people do get healthier. And I was disappointed because I wanted macrobiotics. So I created my own Facebook group. You're all welcome to come. It's called Bright and Macro for Life. But I found that most of the people were from Bright Line Eating and not from macrobiotics. They didn't really know what macrobiotics was. So, you know, a lot of people eat frozen foods, canned foods, microwave, cook for the week, make a soup for the week, you know, so not macrobiotic principles. I've posted a lot. I've posted to people. I don't know if I've, you know, created any interest, but I keep posting about macrobiotics. Yeah. And I always post about these videos to the people.
Very good.
Yeah. But if she could limit her conversation to about support and how support is needed, it would be great. Because that's what's missing in macrobiotics. People are isolated all over. Some people are lucky. Teachers are the luckiest because they have students, and so they're in constant conversation about macrobiotics. But people who are in their own homes don't have that. So it's good. It's good.
That's true. That's true. You know, I really appreciate that. Well, as I said, if you and Paula would like to try to put something together, you know, I'm always saying yes to any new idea. So I say
I don't know
yes.
exactly what you had in mind, Ginat. It's not clear to me.
Well, I don't know. I just heard Paula speaking about these similar issues to what you're saying about support. And it would give you support to be able to work with someone else to try to think of ideas of what we could do, of how we could support each other. So I'm not saying anything specific. I'm just saying a next step.
My idea my ideas, if you're open, is I see there were a lot of people who came to these forums at the beginning and I don't see them now. I have no idea if they see the videos, if they repeat, but it would be nice to have some kind of a way to connect to everybody. And the idea of the mastermind group is people choose 3 or more, whatever you want, people to meet with on a regular basis. Some people have said it takes a lot of time out. It's very time consuming, but if you only have one group that you meet consistently with, it's doable. It's doable. The other thing is I invite everybody to come to Macro Lovers of Jerusalem if you'd like and make it a more vibrant group. I'd be very happy. You want to put the link up to that?
Yeah.
What did you just write, Gretchen?
Precious.
You can't read it that fast. It disappears quickly.
Let me see if I can.
A lot of
find
macro
Gretchen.
groups up there which people can reach out on. And they found a soulmate and they can choose to exchange emails.
Gretchen, she'll put your
Facebook
video on, Gretchen, so we can see you.
Facebook is so strange because you don't really get to know the people that well. I mean, some people post a lot, some people hardly ever post. So it's a strange animal, Facebook. It
But
is.
you can choose to
You could.
reach out to a person and say, I would love to privately chat back and forth with you and have a one support group, because most people have a lot going on in their lives and they get overwhelmed with right now I'm feeling overwhelmed since this began in March with all the wonderful, even macrobiotic and healthy lifestyle opportunities there are. And every once in a while, I just feel like, okay, I just need to just go out in the woods and turn everything off. I don't want to talk to people because it's like I'm getting too much stimulation, too much feedback, too much information. So you pick and choose, and then when you find, it's like macrobiotics. When you find yourself getting overwhelmed, you back off. So rather than trying to interact with a whole lot of people who may or may not be anywhere near on the same page that I am. I might prefer to interact with one person who's on the same page. So
it's a good start. It's a good start, and it was interesting in the Bright Line movement. We had the discussion: do you need to be in a group with people who are on the same level as you? Some people had to lose a lot of weight. Some people were on maintenance. And the answer was no. You needed to be with people you could trust. You needed to be with people you could open up to. And you needed to be with people who were loving, who were accepting and not judgmental. That was the important part. But it is good to be with people who are on the same page, who understand, because a lot of the people in the Bright Line Eating don't understand macrobiotics, and it's I don't know. It's like I felt when I was in America, I was a lone Jew who would represent Judaism to all the people who weren't Jewish. It's kind of like that.
Well, Clara, thank you very much. You really prepared and you did a wonderful job. I really appreciate it.
I didn't read my notes. I just talked.
So I'd like to ask Lois, if you are willing and ready, if you thought maybe you might just sum up for us a little bit. If you have anything to add, you can unmute yourself.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
I'm Lois, and I live in Israel. And Ginat asked me in the remaining few minutes, the hour is late, just to sum up what these wonderful speakers said. And of course, I'm biased because I pick and choose what resonated with me. But first, before I do, I want to thank Ginat and Sheldon again for conceiving this forum and bringing it to fruition. And we're so grateful that all of these wonderful teachers and macrobiotic and holistic we've been exposed to from all over the world. So these are the main points that I gleaned, and I apologize to the speakers. I may not have hit on their favorites. Ginat focused on what is macrobiotics, which is really a very important thing, because if you read Wikipedia, it's just terrible. So she said it's eating for a purpose, eating to live a life we want to live, and to find balance, maintaining just moderation. These are her words. And I find most important, nature is our model. And also she said vegan is probably not a healthy choice. And it is an overreaction to a meat and dairy-based diet. So that's what I basically gleaned from Ginat. And then Kezia discussed that how important it is to change our way of cooking and our way of eating with the seasons, using changes in heat, time, pressure, salt, and to adjust our bodies to the changes in the seasons. And also, something I hadn't thought of is to support our local farmers, the people who are growing the food. They know what's in season and what's not based on what the soil will produce. And also, I loved her brain massage. I'm going to try to use that a lot. So then Paula, why bother to cook? I'm not a terrible, I don't like to cook that much, but when she discussed the benefits of cooking, I perked up because I like the idea of recovering our femininity by cooking and sort of meditation. And I agree with her, the best thing is to learn. When I started Macrobiotics, I took 13 lessons with the one and only Ginat. And I remember the words she said to me all the time when I'm cooking. And finally, Clara.
Wait, what do you remember? What did I say to you?
Cook tempeh. One of the many things.
Okay.
Okay. So then Clara was talking about support, and I thought to myself, in this corona epidemic, we're so isolated. The idea of being connected to other people and is so important. And I not only on a regular basis, but even more so when we're so isolated in our homes. And I also want to give credit to Clara for establishing Macro Lovers of Jerusalem. I'm one of those who didn't post a lot, but I sure read everything. So I want to again thank you all for attending, and we're looking forward to what did Ginat said? Until January, they're booked.
That's right.
Laila Tov. Good night.
So thank you all. Thank you to my speakers. Thank you to everyone who participated and for being here and for allowing me to do this wonderful project. So good night to you.
Thank you very much, Tina, for this opportunity again. It's very good to be with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ginat, will you try and get the speaker who didn't show up? Will you try and reach him?
Of course.